Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Unbalanced with me, Cerys Davage. I hope you're all doing well. Guys, I kept my promise. Well, I'm not quite sure if I promised it, but last solo episode, I was struggling to have a setup for this mic. But if you're watching, guys, I finally set it up. It's all done, it's all ready, and I'm absolutely loving it. It means that my hands are free to hold my coffee or to just relax, because I do find that holding the mic for as long as I do for the podcast is getting quite tough. So I got this lovely little mic stand and I'm absolutely obsessed. I honestly couldn't be happier. I have to give Tristan a shout out as well for helping me with setting this up, just because, you know, sometimes you need a boyfriend's touch just to make sure that everything's going okay. But yeah, I'm very excited to record today's episode because I know the past few episodes have been a little bit deep. They've covered a lot of topics that we all think about, that we're all kind of going through, but I thought that I would make this one a little bit lighthearted and share some of my favourite things that I'm absolutely loving right now, and stuff that has really just helped me in life. And they're not only recommendations, but they're things that I genuinely think that you guys would love, and they are things that have helped me as a disabled person, things I've really enjoyed, things that have made my life easier. And I thought I would share my favourite things that I'm loving right now with you guys today. But first of all, let's catch up. I am pre-recording this because by the time this episode comes out, I will be in London and going to see Dua Lipa. So I'm very excited about that. I'll be going with 3 of my best friends. We're going to be making the weekend of it, and hopefully the weather will be nice because it's been kind of up and down recently. I mean, I know we had that stint of really, really nice weather, but hopefully it stays. You know, we've had a few rainy days, a few cloudy, cold days, so hopefully the summer won't be dreadful, you know, like when you have those really, really nice springs and then summer comes around and it's just awful. So let's just hope for the best there. Recently, my cousin got married, which was really nice. It was nice to catch up with the family. We went to their wedding a couple weeks ago, and I also went to the Eisteddfod, which I did mention in my last episode, and I did an episode on it last year. So for those non-Welsh people, there's 2 Eisteddfods a year. So this Eisteddfod is kind of for the younger generations. It's run by the Welsh youth organisation Urdd. And this was the last year that I was able to compete, because by next year I'll be too old to compete, which is really sad because I've been competing in this Urdd Eisteddfod for, oh my goodness, years and years and years, since I was really, really young. So it is kind of an end of an era, but it went really, really well. Obviously, I went with my choir and we were very successful. The main competition was the one that we won, which is really exciting. We also had a couple of seconds and thirds as well, so I'm just really, really happy and so proud of all the work, all the hard work that we've been doing. But no rest for the wicked. We will be continuing with our rehearsals, and we'll be rehearsing for the Eisteddfod in August, which is different from this Eisteddfod that we just did. It's one kind of when you're a bit older, so it goes up to kind of as old as you want, really. So I won't be getting too old for that anytime soon. So we're very excited to be competing in that one. That's kind of on a bigger scale. There's a lot more choirs, a lot more competition going on. So yeah, I guess we'll just keep rehearsing for that one. But the Eisteddfod that we just did was the first time that I took my wheelchair there, because I've never had to take my wheelchair. Last year I really, really struggled. I think last year I was working there all week, so it was a lot of walking around. I kept having to come back to our office space to have sit downs because it was just a lot. And then on top of rehearsals and standing around waiting backstage to go on stage, and then stand for ages performing on stage. So it's a lot physically, just all day. So I knew what was coming this year, and because I'd taken my wheelchair to Ireland recently with my choir, I knew that everyone would be willing to help, and they absolutely did. It was amazing. Not once did I feel anxious about taking my wheelchair. Not once did I regret taking it. Everyone was so lovely. They were willing to push me. They offered to push me. Some, after a few drinks, was absolutely dying to have a go at pushing me. Some wanted to push the wheelchair when I wasn't even in there, so, you know, that's the enthusiasm we had. But no, it was honestly amazing, and I just know that I would not have survived if I hadn't taken my wheelchair. You know, I saved so much energy. It was such a long day anyway. I was still tired by the end of the night because, you know, we were there all day. We were rehearsing, we were singing, we were having lots of fun, and yeah, it was a long day, and I was tired with my wheelchair, so I dread to think what I would have been like without it. So yeah, I'm very glad I took it, and I think this is your sign, you know, if you are anxious about taking your wheelchair out somewhere, you know, with friends or with people that have never seen you in a wheelchair before. It can be a really scary concept, and what kind of helped me was that I kind of hard launched my wheelchair on my social media, and I posted a couple of videos of me in a wheelchair just to kind of normalize seeing young people in wheelchairs on social media, and that's the goal I'm trying to do. And so I posted it on my Instagram and shared it on my personal Instagram, where obviously everyone I know follows me on there. So yeah, that was kind of a nice little way of easing people into the idea of me in a wheelchair. But everyone was so lovely. Not once did I feel judged. Not once did I feel awkward. You know, I had a couple of people in the Eisteddfod that I haven't seen for years and years, you know, ask me what's wrong or what happened, but that's completely normal, especially if you don't really know me and know that I have a disability. But, you know, as always, I'm used to just explaining that I do have a disability, and, you know, they're very understanding. But yeah, I think this is definitely your sign to just embrace using a wheelchair, and the right people in your life will be willing to help you and won't make you feel uncomfortable for using it. And I know it's a really big step to begin with. Like, when I first used a wheelchair, it was really scary. I cried, I didn't want to be associated with it. But now, because I know the effect that not having a wheelchair would have on me, you know, I would be so tired, I'd be in so much pain, I wouldn't be much fun to be around. I was just a better person all round with a wheelchair on me. So yeah, it was definitely worth it. It's kind of weird because I never thought I'd hear myself say that. I never thought I'd be at a place where I would encourage myself and other people to be using a wheelchair, but I get it now. That's it, I get it. Speaking of posting TikToks and videos, I've only posted 2 videos of me in a wheelchair. One was just, you know, normalize seeing disabled people on your feed, and then another one was this trend where I posted a video of me in a wheelchair and then me stood up to show that I could do both. And that one's taken off. You know, both of those TikToks has caused my following to go up like 3 times what it was. I think at the moment, the one with me in my wheelchair and then stood up, that's got like over 500,000 views now, which is crazy. Like, is that viral? Maybe not. Maybe one day. But yeah, I just think it's absolutely insane. And when I first posted it, it didn't do amazing, you know, like a few people liked it, a few people saw it and commented on it, but yeah, and after a couple of weeks, it's just suddenly skyrocketed. So it's interesting for me to see from a creative perspective, from a social media perspective, because obviously I do work in social media. It's interesting to see that, you know, a video that may not have done amazing just randomly taking off. Yeah, that's very interesting, but I'm very grateful because obviously my following has grown a lot, and I've been able to meet a lot of other disabled people that have come across my page and has said that, you know, it's nice for them to finally see some representation that looks like them. So yeah, it's been really nice, and I'm trying to embrace my TikTok a bit more, so I'm going to try and do a bit more of that, as well as my YouTube. I know I've only done 1 vlog so far, but I have a lot of ideas up my sleeve for some more videos. Hopefully there'll be more soon. But I've got something exciting coming up. I may have mentioned before, but I'm going to Florida in July to the LGMD Orlando conference, and I'm very excited. I've been waiting for this for so long. It still feels so far away, even though now it's only a couple weeks away. It's crazy. So I am very excited to be meeting everyone with LGMD, as many people as I can, to be co-leading the youth session and also talking on a panel about adapted driving in the UK. I'm going with Tristan, and I am hoping to vlog some of it, or just, create a lot of content out of that trip. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully there will be a special LGMD conference episode after I've been. Hopefully I'll be able to meet some people and maybe have a little chat with them for the podcast. We'll see what comes out of it, guys. This is all about adapting and going with the flow and seeing what happens. So I'm very excited to see what comes out of that. But because I'll be quite busy over the summer, you won't get another solo podcast episode in the usual slot in 4 weeks. I have been very busy recording with some guests, as you guys know, as I bang on about all the time, but I'm very excited for them to come out. Take a shot every time I say excited, honestly. I'm just so excited about everything, apparently. But yes, so I am pre-recording this a little bit, and then I will hopefully come back after the LGMD conference to just give a little debrief, and that'll be my next solo episode. So it's going to be a while, it's going to be a month or two, but I'm very much looking forward. I didn't say excited that time. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, and for you guys to see all the amazing interviews that I've been very busy recording. Also, by the time you're listening to this, my Instagram account, my Unbalanced podcast Instagram, will have turned 1 year old, which maybe it doesn't really mean that much to a lot of people, but I wish I started it sooner, because obviously my podcast is almost 2 years old now, which is crazy. But it was only a year ago that I started an Instagram account alongside it. And honestly, the response from that has just been absolutely amazing. Like, I actually can't believe how much my podcast page has grown, how much the Instagram has grown, how much that has influenced my podcast, and just how many connections I've made. I recently made a group chat with everyone with LGMD. If you're not on the group chat, please give me a message on Unbalanced Podcast on Instagram, or just if you've got me on other social media, just give me a message and I will absolutely add you. But it's just amazing to see that you're not alone, that there's so many other people with LGMD of all different subtypes coming together, sharing experiences. It's not a negative place, it's honestly so positive. It's not full of complaints, as I know a lot of medical group chats can be, people just complaining about their lives, but it's so positive. Like, everyone's just so uplifting and supportive, and it's just amazing. It's such a nice thing, and I'm again kicking myself that I haven't done this earlier. Like, I've known all these LGMD people, why haven't I introduced them to each other earlier? But that's something I'm very much looking forward to keep going with, and hopefully host some Zooms or something. That'd be really nice to meet people. The only other thing I have to update you guys is recently I went to Manchester just for the day, but we were staying up in North Wales with Tristan's family, and I went to a crystal maze for the first time. I don't know if you guys have been, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's kind of like the old TV show, if anyone remembers that. But it's basically, you go around several rooms with your group, and then one person is selected to do a different challenge, which obviously I was a bit nervous about, because I know a lot of the challenges can be physical and you're under time pressure, which doesn't bode well with me and my disability. But luckily our team captain, Tristan's dad, had chosen me for the less physical games. One was a musical one where I had to play out and guess the tunes for different lullabies, and then another room that I did was throwing hoops onto like different level poles. Luckily I'm quite good with hand-eye coordination, and it didn't require any leg or hip movement at all, and safe to say I absolutely smashed it. I did amazing in that room. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. There were a lot of stairs in between some of the rooms, so the manager came with us and took me kind of round different routes that was all flat, and took me like through lifts and things just to help me avoid the stairs, which was really nice. A couple of the rooms didn't have an accessible route, and I was offered to just kind of stand back and wait for them to finish it, but I didn't want to miss out on it, so I just kind of climbed the stairs. They had good railings, so I very slowly made my way up the stairs in advance, so that I just didn't want to miss out on watching everyone do do the challenges, and we could kind of spectate and give advice and help the person out in the room. So yeah, I was quite disappointed by that, but I didn't want to miss out, so it was worth it. Apparently it is completely wheelchair accessible. I did take my wheelchair with me just in case to Manchester, but we ended up leaving it in the car because Manchester, like the route that we did was not accessible. Like the streets were all cobbled. The maze itself, the actual crystal maze, can be made wheelchair friendly because some of the terrain is quite unstable, like the sand and stuff, and they said that they could put like ramps over it. So for anyone thinking of doing it, there is an accessible way of doing it apparently. Right, enough of the rambling, shall we? And let's get on with today's topic, which is things that I've been loving recently. So as you may be able to tell if you're watching, I have some books. No laptop today. The laptop's on the floor. But I'm actually loving this setup. I'm loving having like little books on the table. It's very cute. But yeah, I just thought that I would talk through some of the books that I've read recently or that has been sent to me and that have disability representation that I really, really recommend. The first one is Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I think I'm saying her name correctly. It's a book about gaming in the 80s, I want to say. I absolutely loved it, and it's not really my kind of topic, but you kind of follow these two people throughout their lives, like through their childhood into adulthood together, and it's just absolutely amazing. And one of the main characters has a disability and ends up being an amputee. And even though I'm obviously not an amputee, I could relate to a lot of the struggles that he was going through, and it was just really nice to see it kind of very subtly integrated throughout the book. So yeah, I really recommend this book. Another book I really recommend that's all about disabilities, obviously Tasha Ghouri's Hits Different, and we do talk about it in our episode with Tasha herself. I think it's episode 31 if I remember correctly, but obviously loving that book, really recommend it. The main character is deaf and has a cochlear implant just like Tasha, and she navigates the world of dance with a cochlear implant. This next book was very kindly sent to me by a friend of mine that I made on Instagram, Liam Robertson, and the book is called More Than Meets the Eye, Living with Ulcerative Colitis. And it's a very short book, very easy read, and he basically just talks about his experiences going through several misdiagnoses before actually getting his ulcerative colitis diagnosis. He talks about the struggles that he goes through with this condition, and honestly, it's such an eye-opener. Like, I would not have an idea about what someone with UC goes through if it wasn't for this book. And honestly, I really, really recommend. It's available on Amazon. It's available if you just Google it. I recommend following him on Instagram as well. His Instagram is Living with Ulcerative Colitis. And yeah, it was a really, really good book. So thank you, Liam, for sending that to me. The next book that was also sent to me and that I'm reading at the moment, I'm only halfway through, and I'm so sorry that I didn't finish it before recording this, but this is Who Wants Normal? The Disabled Girl's Guide to Life by Frances Ryan. I can honestly say hands down, this is probably one of my favourite non-fiction books ever, just because it feels like reading about myself. I know I'm only halfway through, but honestly, every sentence, every page, I'm like, yes, this is me. Like, absolutely, I relate to this. It's just amazing, and I could not recommend this more. Like, if there's one book that you take away from today's, recommendations, it's this book. It's quite sobering, she has a lot of statistics in there about the disability pay gap, about body image, what are the categories? She talks about school, university, careers, body image, healthcare, relationships, representation, and I cannot shout any louder about this. It's such a good book. Another book that I actually listened to as an audiobook because it was read by the author is Fern Brady's book, Strong Female Character. Fern Brady is a Scottish comedian who has autism, and she just talks about her upbringing and her very late diagnosis of autism, and how she's seen the world and experienced the world differently. And yeah, she's both funny and heartbreaking at the same time, and I would recommend it as an audiobook, just because I had a free trial and because she obviously read it herself, but the book is absolutely fantastic. I really recommend that. Another book that I read on my Kindle was a fiction book called Going Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. And this is such a cute book. It's just a romance book where both people are disabled. Very easy read, really, really nice, quite light-hearted, and they kind of navigate kind of the world together as two disabled people. And it goes right from when they first meet. And then I'm not going to spoil anything, but they go through a lot of things that, you know, we as disabled people often think about. The last book I want to recommend is, if I can reach it, this is Body Grief by Jane Mattingly, Making Peace with the Loss That Comes with Living in a Body. And I have to admit, I haven't read this yet because it's only just been sent to me. So thank you, Jane, for sending me your book. Very, very excited to read it. I'm assuming it's quite similar to Frances Ryan's book, just in the way that it's talking about her own experiences of living in a disabled body. But I will update you guys once I do get around to finishing it. If you are on Goodreads, I am on Goodreads. If you want to follow me to keep up with what I'm reading at the moment, but I am very much looking forward to reading this. I'm also loving the cover as well. It is gorgeous. It's blues and purples and pinks. Very nice. Anyway, so that's it with books. Okay, I think I've put them back in the way that they were. Let's move on to food, and I haven't got that much recommendations, but the first one is so stupid, but I actually love it as someone who doesn't always have the energy to meal prep or to chop fruit and veg up and just want something easy on the go, and that's blueberries. I have blueberries and grapes almost every day. They're so easy, you literally just take them out of the thing, give them a rinse, give them a wash, and they're ready to eat, they're ready to go. My favourite fruit is like nectarines or like flat peaches and stuff, but obviously, you know, you've got to commit to chopping those open, and I know that sounds like it's such an easy task, but if you've got a disability or if you're really fatigued, you're not going to want to do that, and you're just going to want something really easy, especially if it takes everything to even just drag yourself out of bed to go and have food. This is a very easy snack, and I'm just loving it. I love eating blueberries and grapes. Like, the combination together is so good. And yeah, I take them into work with me because I don't need to prep them beforehand. I can literally just pour them into a box or a bag and just take them with me. Another thing I love that's a gluten-free recommendation is Trek bars. And I've got an example here. I haven't actually got the one that I usually have, which shows that I eat them a lot. But here it is. I'll do a little ASMR. Sorry, that's probably really annoying. But this one that I'm holding up is a Millionaire Shortbread one, which honestly feels like dessert. But they are gluten-free. They are vegan as well. The one I usually have is the Coca Flapjack. They have lots of different flavours. They've got lemon, they've got salted caramel, they've just got the plain flapjack. And yeah, they are really, really good. They're not the cheapest, but I think for me, it's a really good snack. It's a good on-the-go kind of protein bar, I guess, that's also just really tasty, and it's gluten-free and vegan, so you can't go wrong. Again, it's no prep needed. You can just chuck one in your bag if you do get hungry throughout the day, and especially as someone who is a celiac and struggles to eat out sometimes, it's just a nice little snack to just keep you going, and just in case, you know, you don't end up finding anyway that's gluten-free, at least you've got something, you know, you've got a backup. Something else that I've been kind of holding off on recommending for now, just because I was kind of trialing using it, but I have been consuming D-ribose for a while, which is some kind of powder for bodybuilders, but people with my condition have been recommended to take it just as a kind of boost to give you a bit more energy, and I really do feel a difference. I feel a bit more energized throughout the day. I feel like I've got a little bit more strength. Obviously it doesn't fix you, it doesn't heal you at all, it's not a cure, but it's just a little something just to keep you going. I have mine in my coffee, or I put it in my overnight oats, just to kind of conceal the taste, but I really recommend that if you do have my condition, give it a go. I didn't agree with it when I first tried it because I think you need to eat quite a bit when you consume this because it doesn't always agree with your stomach, as I learnt. But no, I think I'm on a good streak with it right now. So that's another thing that I've been enjoying. Okay, we're moving on from food and we're doing things now. So this is a mix of different things, both for disabled people and non-disabled people. I'll start with the ones that are just normal things, I guess, like not necessarily a disabled friendly hack. And something I'm loving right now is reusable cotton pads. So for all the people out there that wear makeup, obviously throughout my life I've gone through so many cotton pads, and it's actually probably quite a disgusting amount because they're not reusable. You use them once and then you just throw it away. And I know that's the case for a lot of things that we use day to day, but I'm trying to get better with things like that. I'm trying to use more reusable things. So when I was in France, actually, a couple of years ago, I was at this market and me and my family just ended up batch buying loads of reusable cotton pads, and they're just like little square material that you can obviously use to take your makeup off. You can put micellar water or whatever, your makeup remover on there, use it to take your makeup off, and then you just chuck it in the wash and then you can reuse it. And they've really changed the game for me. They're saving me so much money from buying, cotton pads, and just, saving a lot of waste as well. So yeah, I do recommend looking into getting some because they may be a little bit on the pricey side, depends where you look for them, if you want to buy them from a small business or something, but think of the money that you will save over time. These will last me years. So I'm looking for more things that I can reuse rather than just use once and throw away. So if you have any recommendations, please let me know. Another thing that I'm loving, and I'm not quite sure if I mentioned this in my life hacks video, but it's not really suited for this time of year, but electric blankets. They've changed the game for me. It's so nice to be able to come home when it's cold outside, chuck the electric blanket on, and then by the time you get into bed after getting unready, the bed is so nice and warm and it's amazing. And honestly, it's my best friend. So especially for people with disabilities who might need a bit of extra heat to warm them up, I get really stiff over the winter, so electric blankets really, really help me just to kind of wind down. Some more things I recommend for people with disabilities, but just also in general. The first one is electric toothbrush, and people have told me for ages to use an electric toothbrush, and did I listen? No. Okay, sorry about that. My camera overheated and I can't really remember my train of thought, but I think I was talking about electric toothbrushes. Obviously, they are so handy when it comes to saving energy, especially as someone whose arms are affected by LGMD. So instead of having to use a lot of energy brushing your teeth, you can use an electric toothbrush, which saves a lot of movement. And I know that you still have to hold your arm up, and maybe you could lean against something with your elbow. I'm learning to lean against things if I'm doing my hair and my arms are a bit too tired. But electric toothbrushes are definitely a good way to save a bit of energy at the beginning and the end of every day. Another thing I have to give a huge shout out to is New Balance, the shoes. And if you're watching, I'm holding up one of my shoes right now. They are probably the best shoes that I've found as someone who struggles to walk sometimes, and has struggled to find a shoe that accommodates, my walking and isn't an extra weight or makes me uncomfortable in any way. Like, these are so light and bouncy, and I feel so comfortable in them. I don't feel like they weigh me down at all. Like, I love these so much. If I could buy all my shoes in this exact style, I absolutely would. But I have the 503s, I imagine. 530s. They're also really stylish. They kind of go with everything. I know they're trainers, but you can dress them up or dress them down. And I'm not trying to be some fashion expert here, but they work and I wear them to work and I absolutely love it. So if you're looking for a shoe that accommodates your kind of needs and doesn't give you an extra weight or uncomfortability, New Balance is the one for you. This is not an ad. This is a genuine review. Another thing for my disabled friends is radar keys, and I don't know what the system is outside of the UK, but with public accessible toilets, they often require a specific key to get into the toilets, and it's the same key throughout all of the different accessible toilets. It's called a radar key. You can get them off Amazon, you can get them really cheap. You can apply for some medically for free if you want to. I had one that I'd applied for, but I also just bought lots of spares on Amazon because they're really handy to have in, pockets of different coats or different bags, because you never know when you're going to be out and you need to use the key. So I really recommend using that because it just saves the awkwardness of having to find a manager or a member of staff to ask for a key to let you in. You can just do it really discreetly. You can just go in, do whatever you want, and you don't need to attract any attention at all. Because once I was somewhere really, really busy, like this massive market, and I didn't have a radar key on me, and I had to go up to the manager. I kept asking around different members of staff, like, where can I get a radar key? And they were like, oh, you have to ask the manager. And he was working behind the bar, and it was so busy, and I had to basically shout across all these people, like, can I have a key for the toilet, please? So yeah, save yourself from doing something like that and just have your own radar key. Another thing that I haven't really used in public, I don't think, but I've just bought, and I don't want to use this as a recommendation. I don't want to recommend it per se, but I just want to make people aware of it. Talking about toilets, it's something called a shiwi. It's something for people who can't usually pee standing up to be able to pee standing up, pretty much. I hope that I'm explaining that in the best way. It's basically for when you're struggling, again, using a public toilet, if the toilet is too low, if there's no rails by the toilet to get up and down properly, if the seat of the toilet is too gross, because I often find, and I know a lot of people with LGMD or different disabilities relate to this, but if I do use a public toilet and it's a bit too low, I have to put my hands on the toilet seat to get up, and that's the only way I can get up if there's no rails around me. So it just saves you from having to do that as well. The last thing you want is to just cause some more unhygienicness just from having a disability. It's not really fair. So I've only trialed it at home once, the shiwi. I have yet to take it out with me to use in public, but I know that I'm going to a lot of events coming up that have portaloos or maybe won't have very accessible toilets, so I'm going to take this with me and I'm going to trial it out if I'm absolutely desperate. It just saves having to, do the squatting, which I can't do, or putting your hands on the seat, or just struggling to sit down and not be able to come back up again. And I've visited people's houses as well, where obviously they're not accessible and I use their toilet and I physically cannot get up, especially if my feet are sliding on the floor. Like, my feet need a good grip on the floor to be able to stand up. But I have been in scenarios and situations where I've been as a guest in someone else's house, I've been stuck on their toilet and just not been able to get back up. So it's very humbling, and this will hopefully come in very handy for stuff like that. Another thing that has changed my world, and my physio recommended it to me, is silk bed sheets. So instead of having just a normal cotton bed sheet, to have a silk one, because it's just easier to roll around in it. I do struggle with rolling around in bed sometimes, if I want to change sides that I'm sleeping on. Having a silk sheet underneath me has helped me so much with that transition. So that's another little recommendation for some of you guys that may benefit from that. And the last one is a car door handle, and that is for people that struggle getting out of cars. If you need a good grip with your hands to actually push yourself out from the car, these handles are very handy. You put them in the little metal bit that's on the inside bit of the car door. It's really hard to explain, but there's lots of kind of stuff around on YouTube and Amazon. If you Google it though, if you put it in Amazon, like the car door handles, they all come up as car door handles for elderly. Because, only the elderly have disabilities, right? It's so silly. So I was like, oh great, I'm not elderly. Am I eligible for this? Can I have one? But no, I have one in my own car and one in my boyfriend's car, just in case I get a bit too tired or I really struggle that day with getting up from the car, and it's there, ready to go, ready to just kind of lock into this little metal bit and really help me up, and I can put all my support on it, and it's really, really sturdy. So that's my last thing that I'm recommending. And I know this was a mix of like life hacks and things that I'm loving. Oh guys, I have to give actually a shout out to my new sunglasses, and I don't actually have them on me right now to share, but I'm sure you'll see pictures on my Instagram. But I've been looking for sunglasses for so long, like some like sleek, elegant ones, because I've got quite a small face and most sunglasses look really, really big on me. I look like a fly. I look like a bug wearing sunglasses. So I finally found some sunglasses that are a little bit sleeker. The frames aren't very big, and it's from a brand called Ego. If you just Google Ego sunglasses, they're really affordable, but such nice quality. They kind of feel like dupes for like designer sunglasses, and I'm not spending hundreds of pounds on designer glasses because I don't trust myself to not break them by accident. Yeah, I recommend Ego sunglasses as well for this summer. Hopefully the sun will be out for them. I might do another episode of this. If you guys are interested, I can dive into some more things that I'm loving, you know, aside from the topics that I spoke about today. I hope that you have enjoyed today's episode. If you do end up buying or, you know, using something that I've recommended today, please let me know. Send me some pictures. Feel free to share it on your Instagram stories and share it with your family and friends. Don't forget to follow this podcast and rate it 5 stars, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you so much to Cure LGMD2I for sponsoring this podcast. I can't wait to see you guys in Florida. So excited. And yeah, stay tuned and subscribe to my YouTube if you do want to see some content outside of this podcast, and also my Instagram at Unbalanced Podcast, because there's a lot going on over there and you don't want to miss out. I will see you guys very soon, but until then, enjoy all the interview episodes coming up. Love you guys so much. Bye.